New year, new team. Hey guys, it's Ben, coach of the Delmarva Shoreups, here with our Hive Beedrill Season 5 draft analysis. Before we begin, I would like to make one thing very clear. I'm not totally ditching the Baltimore Orioles. I'll still use that team in a lot of leagues. I just want to add another team to the mix. Especially if I'm in another league with CJ, since two Baltimore Orioles was confusing in that one season of UBC. So yeah, I'll always be Baltimore Orioles in UPA and some other leagues, but this will be the debut season of the Delmarva Shoreups. Before we go any further, I do want to mention that I suck at drafting. Not to suck my own dick or anything, but I think I'm really good at league format. I'm a good player, I'm an awesome builder, but I just can't seem to draft well. My drafts are generally okay enough, and I can usually make playoffs, but they just hinder me so much. I took over for Mensa's broken team in UBC, went 9-0 and won the championship. I picked up Mio's team in HIT, and I had a fantastic performance there. I just can't seem to be able to draft these teams myself, and I don't know why. Maybe I just don't really see the whole picture or something while drafting. I don't know. Just bear with me as we discuss this mediocre team. I would like to give a quick shout out to Bronson, Ice, and Brandon for helping me here and there with my draft. And with all that out of the way, let us discuss the team I drafted for this season of Hive Beedrill. I was picked number 7 out of 16, so I should be able to get a pretty solid mon. I always like to pick the most busted mon I possibly can and then build from there. So the mons taken before me were Mew, Tapu Koko, Lando T, Mega Gallade, Tornti, and Celesteela. In my opinion, the best Pokemon still on the board were Kyurem Black and Mega Mawile. Since I'm not that great with Kyurem Black, and I hate when my team is weak to rocks, I decided to pick up Mega Mawile round 1. Everyone knows what this thing does, it hits like a truck. Mega Mawile, as a team's only steel and or fairy, isn't great, so we'll definitely try to pick up another one of those later on, so that we have more than one Dragon Resist on the team. There's literally nothing else to say about Mega Mawile that everyone doesn't already know, so let's move on to round 2. Bronson told me to get Greninja, so I got Greninja. This thing is kind of cool. It's fast, it's strong, it has good coverage, it has spikes, T-spikes, taunt, and it can be special, mixed. It's really cool mon, and I'm glad I finally have the chance to use it. Gren is a nice young lad, and I look forward to bringing it literally every week. Moving on to round 3, I actually wasn't really sure what to pick. I was pretty busy that morning, actually, doing a thing with my family, so I held up the draft for like an hour, which I still feel kind of bad about, but after giving it some thought, I decided to go with Mamoswine. Just like Greninja, it kills the stupid fire and ground types that give Mawile problems. It's a strong boy, it's a threat to any team, and I'm glad I picked it up. Again, there's nothing more to say about Mamoswine that everyone doesn't already know. So moving on to round 4, I saw him on sitting on the board. Ice and I had discussed it earlier in the draft. He said he kind of wanted it, but then in round 3 he opted against it and chose a different fire type in Victini, so I can't just let this mon sit in 2B and go overlooked. So round 4 we got Blacephalon. This thing hits like a truck, it should never be tier 2B. Sure, a good dark or water can really hinder it, but it's still an absolute monster. And I can pick up checks to darks and waters, and I already have a Mega Mawile, so Blaze should be able to put in a lot of work here. Going into round 5, I finally have a general idea of where I should be going with my team. Up to this point, Greninja was my best fire resist and my only resist to water, and that's not good. That's not a good thing. A bulky dragon should solve that problem, so I decided to pick up Goodra. It has insane special defense, great coverage, and it's a very good boy. Goodra also pairs well with my round 6 pick of Slowbro. Slowbro gives me a bulky water, so Greninja shouldn't ever have to be defensive, which it shouldn't be in the first place, because that would be dumb. Slowbro and Goodra work very well together as a defensive core, and it gives me a reliable physical tank that my team really needed. The Slowbro Goodra core gives me a very easy switch into the fire types that really hinder Mawile, and they check almost every non-mixed attacker. Goodra sponges the Thunderbolts and Energy Balls that scare out Slowbro, Slowbro sponges the Ice Punches, the Dragon Claws, the Flare-Ups that would break Goodra. The only issue is that Goodra doesn't have reliable sustain, which is where a good Wish Passer comes in. Unfortunately, this is where my team starts to go to shit. Up to this point, my team seems pretty solid, but everything goes downhill from here. In round 7, I tried to pick Florjace, but I did the math wrong and it turns out I couldn't take it. Greninja, Mamoswine, Blacephalon, and Slowbro were all tier 2 mons, so my free mons were very limited. Florjace would have been a great Wish Passer, and as a second fairy type, it would have been really nice to have that too. But unfortunately, it was not meant to be. Instead, I picked up the next best thing in Blissey. Blissey is a breaker, that is all. Moving on to round 8, I'm running out of points, and I need to fill some more holes in my team. So I picked up Toxicroak in this round to give my team a strong fighting type, as well as a grounded poison, so I have something to absorb potential T-spikes. It's a fine pick, but I still have some huge holes in my team that I overlooked up until now. Like, we are going into round 9, and I don't have a single ground immunity or resist. With a Mega Mawile team, that is a problem. I also don't have a single hazard remover, which is always an issue with my drafts. And I still need to take that tier 1 Mon. My options for that are getting more and more limited. I wanted Superior at first, but Lomane took that. Basically no one else can take a tier 1, so I decided to hold off on that until round 11. But by then I only had 4 Pokemon to choose from. So I saw 2 ways I could go with my team. And since I'm a very indecisive person, round 9 I just took a Mon that fits with both plans, and that was the tier 5B Sandslash. Sandslash is super underrated. It's my favorite low tier spinner, and it's honestly not even bad. Its base stats aren't anything to write home about, but its attack and bulk are high enough to be viable. It doesn't have a ton of coverage, but it does have Stab Earthquake, as well as Stone Edge, Knockoff, P-Jab, X-Scissor, Gyro Ball, and a handful of other fun moves. I think it's a pretty decent Mon for 5B, and it gives me a second ground type, so Mamoswine isn't my only electric immunity. Now that we have Sandslash, I have a grand total of 1 hazard remover. This is a problem. I have 2 picks left. I can afford a tier 1, which I have to take, as well as a tier 4. The only tier 1s on the board were Dragonite, Gengar, Skarmory, and Thundurus Therian. Dragonite doesn't do much. Gengar is redundant, so that leaves Skarmory and Thundy T. Skarmory would give me another Dragon Resist, a reliable setter, remover, a reliable ground immunity, and a nice Skarm Bliss defensive core. But Thundurus provides me with something to break the bulky waters, because I can't really do that very easily on my team without a Grass or an Electric. It's really a matter of whether I want better defense or better offense. And considering I'm not super comfortable with Skarmory or defense in general, I decided that my tier 1 would be Thundurus. With that in mind, I had to choose a tier 4 or a tier 5 for my round 10 pick. I wanted another hazard remover for sure, since I don't want to have to bring Sandslash every week or bring Defog on Thundurus like ever, so that already narrowed down my options. I wanted another ground immunity, so Thundurus is my only one, and I would also like another Dragon Resist if that's possible. Unfortunately, the only Mon that fills all of these roles is Togetic, which isn't exactly ideal. Shout out to Brandon for helping me with this decision, because I was stuck on this for like an hour. We looked at every tier 4 and decent tier 5 Mon with removal. Aerodactyl, Braviary, Flygon, Golbat, Honchkrow, Kabutops, Mantine, Moltres, Sigilyph, Torkoal, Venomoth, Blastoise, Claydol, Rotom Frost, Skuntank, and, of course, Togetic. Funnily enough, we narrowed it down to the first and last Mons on this list, Aerodactyl and Togetic. Aerodactyl is clearly the better Pokemon, but I was envisioning a specific problematic situation. Like, imagine this. My opponent sends out a Garchomp. I switch in Slowbro on the Sword Stance. I need to scout for the Z-move, but I don't know if it's Dragon or Ground, so Togetic would be the perfect scout. Without Togetic, Garchomp is really scary for my team. I decided to look at the schedule and see when I play Robin and Owen, who have Mega Garchomp and Garchomp respectively. I peeped the schedule. I don't play either of them. At all. The dragons I play this season include Mega Ampharos, Ruddigan, Hydreigon, Latios, Zygarde, and Tyrantrum. Togetic hardly does anything to these, so at this point Brandon and I decided that Aerodactyl is definitely the best Pokemon for my team. It's not the best remover, but it's decent. It's a fast taunter, gives me a rock type, which is cool I guess, and it's a pretty good tier 4 Mon. And in round 11, of course, I decided to take Thundurus Therian to finish up my draft. Good setup sweeper, breaks the bulky waters, and it was a force to be reckoned with in my HIT run. It sort of gives me another ground immunity, and it helps out with my otherwise garbage speed tiers a little bit. Now comes the Z Captains. Hive does things a little differently. We have 240 Z points to spend. Tier 1 Mons are worth 100 points, Tier 2s are worth 80, Tier 3s are 60, Tier 4s are 40, and Tier 5s are 20. My Z Captains are Thundurus T, Blacephalon, and Aerodactyl. I could have made Sandslash a Z Captain as well, and Z Sandslash is at least somewhat viable, but like, I know this team isn't the best, so in case I want to make any transactions later on, I'm saving my extra Z points. Changing Z Captains counts as a transaction, but assigning them doesn't, so that's the benefit to holding on to them. So yeah, that's the team. It ain't great. Like I said, I'm not great at drafting, but I can usually take my mediocre teams pretty far anyway. I'll try my best, and hopefully we can have a good season. Week 1, we take on Mio, pretty good player, reigning Hive Wheel champion, owner of my HIT team, fellow weeb, and overall cool guy. So, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all again in Week 1 versus Mio.